I will let you introduce me.
Hey, hello everyone. This is Joseph Skoda from Social Media Shows Network, and we encourage you to join our network and see what we're up to each and every day because we have a lot of shows going on. It's real exciting. We bring in new talent all the time. But currently, as you know, this is the episode I like to call In the Office with Joseph Skoda. G.I. Joe Skoda, where I look for people that help inspire others, motivate each other, and more importantly, people that show compassion, regardless of what's going on around them, show a little bit of leadership, a little compassion, and helping the world to be a better place. And today I want to introduce a good friend of mine. In fact, as of about 20 minutes ago, a Toastmaster, like I am, for South County Presenters, Miss Franczeska Bobi, or Bobi Angel. I get so confused. You have this long name. I cannot pronounce it. I think every time you introduce yourself, you have a different name. Tell us a little bit about your name and where you're from.
I did not like my childhood, so I changed it from Frances to Bobi Angel.
Okay.
Angel was the name I was married by, and the person I married was no angel. But I liked the name, so I kept it. Then I decided, okay, I am past all that with childhood, and now I can go with Franczeska. My family is Polish, and that is a derivative of Francis. And that is my name. So I go by Bobi Angel or Franczeska, whatever suits the person.
Sure. No. You're a California girl, right? So you were born and raised in California?
No. I was born in Chicago. I came to San Francisco as a baby.
Okay.
And I grew up with my father and my stepmother.
Yeah.
And Redwood City and then San Francisco. And I got to know all the fabulous restaurants of San Francisco.
There are a lot of them.
Yes. And my father knew all of them. He started as a cab driver.
Really?
And so he would go down the alleyway and find these little nooks in the way.
Well, when did you move out of the San Francisco Bay Area?
When did I move out? I ran away from home when I turned 18.
Okay. Now, what made you do that, or what made you run away from home?
An unhappy childhood.
Sure.
A stepmother who couldn't stand me. My father was never home much. He was a musician as well as a cab driver and went into study real estate.
Yeah.
And then he got into real estate and he became property rich and money poor.
I think I know what you mean by that.
It happens.
It happens. I too became a realtor shortly after I left the military, and well, that's a different story. Had some good times, bad times, but it was during the bubble, and during the bubble where we were almost lying to people. Trust me, you can afford this house. Trust me, interest only. Trust me, you get a raise in a couple of years. And while that didn't happen for most people, a lot of people lost their homes. But that's a different story. We want to focus on
story.
You. Yeah, we all have our stories. So where did you go when you ran away from home?
Well, I joined a magazine crew.
Really?
And we went to different towns and sold magazine subscriptions. And then I quit in Las Vegas and went to Los Angeles. A lot of adventures along the way.
I'm sure it was. Oh boy. So we talked not too long ago at a meeting, and you mentioned, you lost your son, you lost your husband, you had a stroke, some other health issues, conditions that affected you in so many ways. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Oh, that was a very interesting journey. My son died the night before. 2 months before that, I had a kidney removed. They found cancer. but it was no big deal. They were looking for something else when they found it. They yanked out a kidney, no problem from there, except I have to do those tests every year.
Sure.
My son, I was holding his hand in the emergency hospital as he bled to death. I was strong. I could do it. Well, the next morning, I was calling and telling different people about my son that knew him well.
Sure.
My daughter came down from Monterey County to help me during this time. And as I was talking on the telephone, I went, I didn't know what happened. I just went out. The only thing I could think of was I was going to loan my car to my friend to go to Fresno so she could take a real estate exam. And that's all I could think of at the time. When I realized I was in the hospital and they said, move your toes, my whole right side was gone.
Wow.
I couldn't move anything on that one side. The nurses all get you to going. The next day, I think they had something left me up and to a chair and things. It was very interesting. The nurses were wonderful. I had long hair at the time. The night nurses that had more time would take their time and French braid it, which I never could do.
Wow.
And it was quite wonderful. But my movement, they got a little bit of movement here and there. My husband, who was very dear, was there by my side as much as possible. And then I went to Santa Maria, and the place I went to was one of the places I had taught at. That's another story, but I went around to rest homes and I sang and danced and I taught art lessons, whatever they wanted. And this was one of the places that I had went to in Santa Maria. And they recognized me. Weren't you the one that taught art here? Yeah, that was me. So they started doing physical therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was getting the walker and would walk, they said, well, you're leaning way over to your side. Try to go straight. I said, no, I'm straight. They said, no, you're leaning way over. I said, get me a mirror. They showed me that I was walking sideways.
Wow.
Oh. So I had to lean way over to my left, I felt in my head, to go straight. It was very interesting. Now, when I try to walk, I think of Marilyn Monroe. You remember her.
Sure.
She would move her hip way over to the side. And I still have to remember the Marilyn Monroe walk, to move my hip way over to the side as I walk.
Wow.
My hand, I was so excited when I could move from here to here. Now I can go I could salute.
Love that. I love that.
Everything takes so long. Eating, that's another experience. It's amazing what we can use as finger foods. Peas are not too easy to get on a fork. I eat with my left hand mostly, but I have to remember, try it with my right hand. I can do a little bit, and it's a challenge. Everything, but I like a challenge, a good challenge.
I bet you
This
do.
was not exactly what I had in mind
Oh,
2.5 years ago. And
so
that's what it's been. It takes so long to do anything, but I can do it.
so you've been in rehab roughly 2.5 years, or how long did that process go?
Well, I went from one home to another home.
Okay.
And in January, I went through the holidays there in the homes.
Sure.
And in January, I said, I want to go home. They said, you're not ready. But my husband was there.
Yeah.
And I was ready. So they let me go. They looked at my home. They said, well, we got to remove all these rugs. We have to do this. We have to do that. My husband said, we'll do it. We had been married, well, a very short time, about 6 years at the time.
Okay.
He was there for me, but dementia was starting to come in. So we would get different friends to help him go to the hospitals and the rest homes and that,
Sure.
because he would get lost some of the time.
Sure.
I got home. He was there. He wanted to help me dress. I said, no. How can I learn if you do it for me?
Makes sense.
So here I am struggling along. He says, I hate to see you struggle, but that's the only way it can happen. So I struggled along. I got dressed. My goal is to dance again. My walking is somewhat to be desired.
Yeah.
I can walk without holding on to the walker
All
about
right.
6 feet.
Okay.
The thump, the thump, the thump. It's not good for dancing unless you're doing a thumping dance.
You maybe you're going to invent a new dance.
I'll try. I'm still overcoming a lot, but there's a lot of people who overcame. I think about, well, how long did it take? 6 years. Okay, I've got a little bit of time to go. I can still do that.
Sure.
Get my dog on the lap here.
Oh, there you go. They'll help you dance.
So in the meantime, my husband had cancer, and going through the process of cancer was very interesting. I had help along the way. It would cost a bloody fortune, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But we did it, and we had no amount of time. When is it going to happen? But it did. And about 3 days before he died, he said, is it too late to change my mind? I'll eat. I'll try to eat, and I'll try to drink. It's the process that they go through when they have cancer.
Sure.
And dealing with the stroke and cancer and everything, well, we can do it. It happens.
So where do you say your biggest support system came from through all of this? Did you have a support
my husband?
Yeah.
He was a wonderful support. I had to teach him to do different things. Like when I transferred into a car, you're supposed to stand by the door so the door doesn't close. I can hold it. No,
Oh, yeah.
stand by it. That's what the nurse said, this physical therapist.
That's good advice. You can slam it on yourself.
Yeah, he was strong, but at that time, when I first started, the cancer the dementia and the cancer They didn't really interfere. So that was my support group. I had a gal that I hired. Her name is Molly.
Yeah.
And she is still coming. I have her on Tuesday and Friday now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I used to have her just Friday. I can do most anything by myself. It just takes about 10 times longer than anybody else would do.
Sure.
I don't cook. I
Yeah.
heard too many stories of people burning themselves trying to cook.
I do sometimes.
Yes. I remember getting married.
Yeah.
My husband would fix me dinners when he was courting me. But
Yeah.
once we got married, he said, I don't know how to cook.
He got you. There's something about him. Now, you're obviously your son passed away one day. You had the stroke the next day. Your husband was suffering with cancer and passed away. How did your kids deal with all of this traumatic experiences in their own right?
Well, my kids are a long way from home. My daughters are in California,
Okay.
Monterey, and Los Angeles. I have one son that's in Indianapolis. He's a race car mechanic and driver. I have another son who's in North Carolina.
Oh,
He teaches, and he's very much into affirmative thinking.
okay.
My son Danny came over to help me. I moved away from this mobile home to a care center
Okay.
with my husband. And it was wonderful because he could dance with the other girls. One of them really fell in love with him. But then he said, you know, if I'm going to die soon, I want to die at home. They didn't sell this place, so we moved back.
Nice.
And this is where I am at the moment.
Sure. Sure.
And we get along very nicely.
Well, that's
My
good.
dog, I am trying to find a home for.
Yeah.
She's very sweet and lovable, but she bites people.
How can you be sweet and lovable if you bite someone?
Well, they're not part of the family. They're strangers. But you know what? When all the nurses were here during the time that he was dying,
Yeah.
we had a lot of hospice nurses come by and the care people. What we do is we train everybody that comes,
Sure.
and they give her a treat. If they give her a treat, they must be good.
That sounds fair. That sounds fair. So, what do you do now? Do you have any hobbies that you're involved with now?
I've been an artist
Okay.
most of my adult life. I taught art, and I do, a lot of paintings.
Okay.
And I am still painting, but I've changed from, I went from oil to acrylic
Mm-hmm.
and a little bit of watercolor. Now I do mostly watercolor and sketches
Sure.
because it's easier for me to clean up. I do a lot of things by myself. I'm a very independent person. I'm an adventurer, but I am independent.
Wow. What was your I don't know, thinking back, where was your favorite place to vacation?
To vacation?
You think of a vacation you had once.
Oh, I loved Italy.
Italy?
Before, I did a semester abroad in Paris, and that was wonderful too. So I was 4 months in Paris. I was 3 months in Italy, and that is the way to travel. I studied art, and we got to go to museums and galleries and places that other people didn't go. And I watched the tourists come by and everything. But my husband was not, when I got married, I didn't meet him until, 10 years before he died. And he wanted to take a vacation on one of those boats where you have thousands of people. I said, no, but we compromised. We went on a riverboat cruise where there was
Okay,
only 125 people,
that's
and we
enough.
went from Paris to Prague, or Prague to Paris, along the river of the
Yeah,
Germany. And he was very much on the Second World War, and we got to see where Hitler was doing his talks and everything.
sure, sure.
It was great. So my favorite place to vacation
Yeah,
depends on the situation.
sure, sure. That's, I mean, yeah, Hitler was something, but it's still part of our history, and
Part
we
of
need to
it
learn
is.
about what happened before and what's happening today. We can't just hide away from things. How are we going to learn? A lot of us just want to, turn the cheek the other way, and we get that. Do you ever feel that? I don't know. People are people more helpful towards you, or do you think they kind of don't see
They
you?
try to be.
Yeah,
They said they could reach the salt and pepper on a table, with all of us sitting around. Well,
sure.
I have long arms. I could still reach with one arm. They, uh,
Yeah,
some of them are very helpful, but most of the time, I guess being independent, I could do it myself.
sure, sure.
So it's kind of hard getting that balance there.
It's hard for people too, not knowing
What to do?
what's expected, what to do, right? And that's something. So, are there any other challenges that you have? Obviously, you slowed your pace down a bit, but you're still spunky. And every time I see you, you're smiling. So, what are some of the other challenges that not just a stroke victim may have to face, but well, a stroke survivor, whatever you want to call it, but families and friends? What are some of the challenges they need to look out for?
Well, my biggest challenge right now is to drive a car.
Sure.
I have the I have well, there's certain methods to driving a car
Yeah.
when you're not completely capable of all the things that you used to be able to do.
Sure.
So I have left hand brake and gas. It isn't applied yet, but when I finish a program of learning how to drive
Hmm.
with that,
Hmm.
I will get a car that I can do these things to. One of the things, well, I have enough money to do that, to buy a new car,
Okay.
which is, I went through times where it was very rough. I had no money.
Sure.
I had children. I was single. My husband had left me at the time. And it was just enough to get a loaf of bread and a quart of milk. But, somehow we collect Coke bottles and turn them in.
Sure.
Life is a challenge. It's, the song, That's Life. I've been up and down and over and
Sure.
out, and I know a thing.
That's so funny you brought that up, because often well, I never ran away from home. I guess I did. I joined the military, but we expect our life to go a certain way. We expect that, I don't know, have a certain job, live a certain place, have so many children. And more often than not, it doesn't happen that way. And usually turns out better regardless of our circumstances. But right. And once we realize it's a roller coaster we're going through, and who knows what tomorrow's going to look like, it kind of makes you, I don't know, appreciate today just a little bit more. What do you think about that?
Well, tomorrow kind of takes care of itself.
Yeah,
I put it out there in the universe, and then by magic, it seems that it happens.
I like that one. In a way, you're right.
But when I was going around
Hmm.
volunteering at rest homes, singing and dancing,
Yeah,
well, I had a job at Michael's arts and crafts store, and it paid maybe $10 an hour. It wasn't much, but it was something. Well, my daughter wanted to come back to California. She was in Massachusetts.
Okay.
And so I got airfare to go out there. I had asked my boss. He said, okay, I could have 2 weeks off. My daughter came out here for her interviews to
Yes.
California. But my boss, in the meantime, went to a different store, the manager,
Yes.
and the assistant manager moved in. And she said, no, you can't do that. I said, well, I'm sorry. My tickets are already bought on both sides, my tickets, my daughter's tickets. I have already committed to it. So during the meantime, as I was going around volunteering, somebody said to me, well, can you teach art? Well, yes, I could. I will tell you what, I will pay you to come and teach art, and you will apply at Hancock College. And there's a program that you go around, it's you don't get credit, no credit class. And wow, it opened up a whole new thing for me. I had enough college classes. They were classes that I just enjoyed taking, like art classes and things like that, or trying to get into different college. They said, well, you can, through the paperwork and everything, I got into Hancock College. I went around I had 2-hour classes. Some wanted just for rest homes that people didn't want to learn anything. I just sang and danced. And dancing got me through a lot of things. I went to Saudi Arabia. They said, now dance like the Spanish do. So I did the Spanish dance like, different people. I would go to, when I was single, I would go to different nightclubs, and the partner I had, we would stop the show. People would stand around and watch us. It was fun. But so dancing was a big part of my life too. And I hope to dance again.
Yeah, that's a big deal. A lot of people, especially boys and young men, don't understand the importance of learning how to dance effectively with your partner. A lot of us don't know, as I was much older in life before I knew the importance of that. And those little things, art, vacationing, music, dancing, all those things help make us appreciate what's going on around us and just make us feel better inside. And I think that's the key, is what we can do to make us feel better and help others along the way and get through their funk, because we all go through a funk in our lives. I use that term. I think it's a technical term, funk. So we all need someone to help us through that. And
music is a very big part of everything. I would go into some of the rest homes where people were practically non-responsive. They would go, well. And by the time we finished singing 40s and 50s songs, they were talking and they were going on. They woke up to music.
I love it. I love it. There was a time I was a commander of the American Legion in Santa Maria, and usually the commander, we hit the nursing home senior center every year, and then someone would dress up like Santa Claus. We have gifts for everyone, and I did that. The first time I did that, I was there, and you can see the smile on people's face in their eyes, even if they could talk or not. But believe it or not, I had a lot of ladies goosing me and squeezing me and wanting to sit on my lap. It's like, whoa, it's a whole different world in here. But I loved it so much, I went back 2 or 3 times years later, because it was exciting because the interaction and giving someone, I don't know, it was hope and just giving a smile on their face, it made a difference to me and not just them. It was really exciting times.
Volunteering helps tremendously.
Sure
It
it does.
helps the person who is volunteering as well as the others. I highly recommend it.
I agree, and that's what I do a lot too today. But I really appreciate you talking to our audience today, Francesca, and it's pretty exciting, and we all wish you the best in your future endeavors. And I look forward to hearing your speeches in our club in the future. And that's where you learn about people. I didn't start opening up till I joined Toastmasters. It's pretty exciting, and we see people compete at all different levels too. I've seen a 20-year-old and an 85-year-old competing in contests, and it's like, wow, so I don't have any excuse. So when we see people like you have gone through something, making it happen, the rest of us no longer have an excuse why we can't, why we shouldn't, why, and that's what excites me about listening to your story. It's like, I can do it. Might be a little slower, but I can still do it.
You
And
can still do it.
we can still do it. And we need to hear that. We need to hear it. I need to hear that. And once again, I just appreciate you very much. And I can't wait to see some of those paintings you've been working on over the years.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd love to. All right. Well, everyone, we appreciate you stopping in today. This was a lot of fun. And Francesca has a lot of spunk and a lot of things to share. And every one of us has things that happen in our life. And we need to find someone that can bring a little hope, a little courage, a little motivation, inspiration into our life so we can live better and feel good about ourselves. So anyways, you're in the office with Joseph Skoda. I deeply appreciate you following us and definitely share our pages, like our stuff, and join our family, because we're all about inspiring and, more importantly, empowering others. You have yourself a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much. All right. Adios.